ओम सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा. Acceptance endorsement other obligation. Ever made the adequacy of internal control over over issuance of letter of credit over custody of unused LC the same manner as the manner of in the case of guarantee. So unused LC verify the balance of and the guarantee verify the balance of letter of credit from the register mainly from the bankers. The register indicates amount of letter of credits and payments made antaram. Auditor may examine the guarantee of the customer and copies of the letter of credit issued. A security update on the issue of guarantee of credits also be verified. On the credit issue security verify examine whether the bank has incurred a potential financial obligation prospect of letters of comfort in such obligation and has been cashed ensure amount has been disclosed under the contingent liability. Okay. Other items for which bank is contingent liable are the contingent liable. Determine and verify any other items under the head inquiry. For example, outstanding underwriting contract, bill rediscounting, dispute of tax demands. So these are the other demands which was contingent liability checked. Bill of collection. Bill of collection நம்மகிட்ட யாராவது வந்து பில்லை கொடுத்துருப்பாங்க பில் டிஸ்கவுண்ட் பண்ணியிருப்பாங்க அந்த டிஸ்கவுண்டட் பில்லை we collect பண்ணுவோம் தான் bill of collection. Ensure the bill is drawn on other branches of the banks are not included in the bill of collections. மற்ற பேங்க்கில் பிரான்ச்சில் வாங்கினதா இதில் இன்க்ளூட் பண்ணக்கூடாது. Verify the outward bills for collection, outward bills for collection with reference to the corresponding register. Examine the collection made subsequent to the date of balance sheet to obtain whether the evidence about the existence and completeness of the bill of collections as on the date of balance sheet. After 31st March, any bill is being collected. Truthfulness. Examine the procedure of conducting the party on which behalf the bills are being collected. Confirm that the procedure is consonance with the nature of obligation of the bank with respect to the bill of collections. அந்த பில் கலெக்ட் பண்ணதுக்கு ப்ரொசீஜருக்கு கன்சர்ன்ஸ் இருக்கும் நேச்சராக மேட்ச் ஆகுதா அவரோட தான் கரெக்டாக இருக்கா அப்படின்னு பார்க்குறது. அவரோட அக்கௌண்ட்டு வந்து இப்போது பேமெண்ட் பண்ணியிருப்போம் அவங்களுக்கு டிஸ்கவுண்ட் பண்ணி அந்த அந்த கிளைண்ட்டுக்கு அவன் பேமெண்ட் பண்ணியிருப்போம் அந்த பில்லை நம்ம டிஸ்கவுண்ட் பண்ணி வாங்கிட்டோமா அதோட வேல்யூ நம்ம ஜென்ரேட் ஆகிட்டு பார்க்கணும். Examine the adequate of internal control exists in the debts of the customer accounts with the amount of bank commission as soon as the bill is collected. In regard credited to the customer account, the auditor should examine the no income has been accrued in the accounts in respect of bill outstanding as on the balance sheet date. So bill receivable, but it should not be accrued. Okay, receive another you can be include without receipt you can accrue. So you should check it out. Example. A large scam happened in ABC Bank where the employee is in collusion with the conscrupulously businessman. She used this network to transmit message in other banks on fund requirement. While all are done by the SWIFT password, the transactions are never recorded in the bank code system that by keeping the bank management dark range. No securities has been applied. Cost loss of thousands of crores to bank. Thus, the importance to give proper information requiring disclosure of contingent liability. Even they do not form part of the main balance sheet, on the most appear on the side both assets as well as liability side, while equal amount on the contra items. ஒருத்தருக்கு லைபிலிட்டின்னு ஒன்று அசட்னு ஒன்று இருக்கணும்ல. ஸோ ஒரு ஒரு அசட்டை உள்ளே கொண்டு வரும் கேஷாக உள்ளதுன்னா அது காசு என்ன சோர்ஸ் என்ன லைபிலிட்டி வச்சுருக்கணும் பேங்க்கில் அதை வைக்காமல் பண்ணால் தப்பு. புரியுது. ஆடிட்டர்ஸ் ரிப்போர்ட். In the case of a nationalized bank, auditors are required to make a report to the central government. In the auditor should state the following. Where the auditor opinion the balance sheet is full and fair balance sheet contain all the necessary particulars and properly drawn up so it exhibit the true and fair view of the affairs of the bank. Balance sheet shows truth and fair view. In case of auditor had called for any explanation or information whether it has been given or whether it is satisfied. So the explanation கேட்டால் அந்த explanation கரெக்டாக கொடுக்கணும். Where or not a transaction of the bank has been come to the auditor's notice or have been within the power of the bank. whether or not the transaction of the bank which comes in the no auditor's notice and the main power of the bank or the wallet bank could power whether or not the return received from the officers and branches of the bank have been found adequate for the purpose of audit. So, in our returns on the income border returns it's adequate account whether the profit or loss account shows true balance of the profit or loss for the period covered over the accounts. True or fair or other matters with the auditor considered should be brought into notice of central government. Any other matter to be audited considering that should be brought to central government, auditor should consider that and should give in the report. Format of audit report. Auditors, central as well as branch should follow. Should also endure the audit report issued by them complies with the requirement of section 700. Forming an opinion, reporting a financial statement, essay, fine modification of opinion, and independent audit report, essay 706. Emphasis of matter, paragraph, another matter, paragraph, and independent audit opinion. Essay 7, comprehensive information corresponding figures and comparative financial statement. Essay 720, auditor's responsibility relating to other information, document containing audited financial statement. So, essay 700, 705, 706, 710, 720. And standard of auditing based on the audit report. The auditor should ensure that not only the information related to the number of unaudited branches given, but qualification of advances, deposits, interest incomes, interest expenses, or such unaudited branch also be disclosed in the audit report. Such a disclosure in the audit reports not only in accordance with the best international standards, but also provide useful information to the users of financial. So audited banks which unaudited banks was bank loans, interest, advance, liability, everything should be included in the audit report and it should be in the international standard and the report of useful information. It may be noted that in addition to the aforesaid, the auditors of the banking companies also required to state that the report the matters covered under 143 of the Companies Act. However, it is pretend to mention that the reporting requirement read for Companies Act auditors report is not applicable to the banking companies defined under the Clause C of the Section 5 of the Banking Regulation Act 1949. As per the reporting requirement cast through Rule 11 of the Companies Auditors Rule, auditors report shall also include the views and comments of the following matters, namely whether the company has disclosed the impact, if any, pending litigation on the financial position of the financial statement, the pending litigation, evaluate contingent liability, or the company has made a provision as required under the law or accounting standard for the material foreseeable losses, if any, long-term contracts including derivative contracts. So contingent liability provision for losses, provision for derivative contracts. There has been any delay in transferring amount required to be transferred to the investor education protection fund of the company. So dividend undisclosed dividend given but not being collected now what to transfer to investor education protection fund. Properly transfer. If not transfer, what is the delay? Whether the management has represent that to best of his knowledge and belief, other than the disclosed notes to the accounts, no fund has been advanced or loans or invested, either from the borrower funds or same share premium, any other kind of funds, the company to any other person or entity, including foreign entity of understanding, whether recorded in writing, otherwise intermediate shall, whether directly or indirectly link the investor and other persons and entities identified in any manner or other by or behalf of the companies and provide any guarantee securities in light of the ultimate beneficiary. I understand. The management has represented that the best of its knowledge and belief, other than disclose notes in the accounts, no fund has been advanced or loaned or invested by the company to other person or entity, including foreign entities, with the understanding that recorded in the writing, otherwise that intermediate shall whether directly or indirectly led to invest in other person. Entities identified in another manner, however, by and behalf of the company, provide any guarantee, security, and unlike the ultimate beneficiary. Okay. The management has presented that the best of its knowledge and beliefs, other than disclose the manner and notes of the accounts, that other than as disclosed notes of accounts, no fund has been received by the company by other person, entities, including foreign entities, while understanding whether the recorded in the writing otherwise that the company shall whether directly or indirectly, lead or invest in other person entities identified as any matter disclosed by the behalf of the funding parties and provided by guarantee any guarantee secured like on behalf of the ultimate beneficiaries. ஸோ கம்பெனி மற்றவங்களுக்காக பணத்தை வாங்கி கொடுக்குறதோ அதுக்கு வர வேண்டிய பணத்தை இன்னொருத்தவங்களுக்கோ ஸோ தமக்கு வர வேண்டிய பணத்தை இன்னொருத்தருக்கு கொடுக்குறதோ அதெல்லாம் சட்டப்படி தப்பு. Based on the audit procedure, the auditor has considered reasonable and appropriate circumstances. Nothing has come into the notice that causes to believe that the representation under subclass 1 2 contains any material misstatements. So material misstatements are utterly இல்லைன்னு அதையும் சொல்லணும். The dividend declared or paid during the year for the company is in compliance with the section 123 of the Companies Act. So 123 Act Companies Act படி dividend declare பண்ணியிருக்கணும். Where the company has used such accounting software for maintaining books of accounts which has been featured for recording audit trial facility. Auditor கண்டிப்பாக இருக்கணும். And some has been operated during the year. All transactions recorded in the software and the audit trial feature has not been tampered with, and audit trial has been preserved by the company as per the statutory requirement of the for recording retention. Audit trial is important. It should not be tampered. Long form audit report. Besides the audit report, as per the statutory requirement discussed above, the terms of appointment of auditor of public sector banks, private sector banks, and foreign banks, as well as other branches, the required auditor also furnish a long-form audit report (LFAR). A long-form audit report is given by the statutory auditor as well as statutory central auditors. The LFAR is a audit report which is forms questionnaires where the observer comments has been provided in the range of matters including cash, banks, balance of banks, investments, advances, deposits, etc. submitted by the statutory branch auditors and statutory central auditors. The consolidation is done in head office level. The LFAR and the branches submitted by the statutory central auditors to management. LFAR on the banks after due examination should be placed before the ACB of the bank indicates the action taken proposed to be taken for rectification of irregularities. If any, mentioning therein the copy of the LFAR and the relative agenda notes together with the board review or directions submitted to the RBI within 60 days on submission of the LFAR by statutory auditors. ஸோ எல்எஃப்ஐஆர்னா நிறைய கொஷின்ஸ் வச்சுருக்கோம் அதெல்லாம் கரெக்டாக ஃபில் பண்ணி பேங்க் ஆடிட் ரிப்போர்ட்ஸ் டேரக்டர்ஸோட ஒப்பீனியனோட சேர்த்து ஆர்பிஐட்டு சப்மிட் பண்ணணும் அவ்வளோதான். The reporting requirement, the RBI issued a circular relating to implementation of recommendation of committee on legal aspect of the bank fraud applicable to all the scheduled commercial banks, excluding regional rural banks. This circular provides detail regarding liability of accounting, auditing profession, including profession of contract, non-disclosure of client information, and need to report fraud. Auditor also consider the compliance with the provision of standard of auditing. SA 210 considering the law and regulation in the audit of financial statement explaining that the duty of the confidentiality it is overridden by the statute, law by courts, where the auditor is conducting an audit in accordance with standard of auditing is responsible for obtaining reasonable assurance that the financial statements are taken as a whole are free from material statement which is caused by the fraud and error according to SA 240. Further, the sub-rule 12 of section 143 of the Companies Act 2013 is the auditor of the company in the course of performance of duty as auditor has a reason to believe there is an offence of the fraud involved such amount or amounts has been prescribed has been committed by the company by the officer or the employees. Auditor shall report the matter to central government within such time and in such manner as may be prescribed. It may be noted that auditor is not expected to consider each and every transaction but to evaluate the system as a whole. Therefore, the auditor, while performing the normal duties, come across any instances, she should report the matter to the RBI in addition to the chairman, managing director, chief executive of the concerned bank. Reports and certificates. Besides a part of statutory audit progress, statutory central auditors provides reports and certificates mainly considering the following: report on adequate operating effectiveness of internal financial controls over the financial reporting in case of banking. Long form audit report in compliance with SLR requirement, report on whether the treasury operations of the bank has been conducted in accordance with the instruction issued by the RBI from time to time, certification of reconciliation of securities with the banks, both own investment accounts as well as PMS banks account, certificates on compliance with the bank in the key areas of prudential and other guidelines relating to such Transaction issued by the RBI investment transaction report on whether the income recognition asset classification provision being made as per the guidance of the RBI timetable. Report on whether the serious irregularity is noted in the working of the banks which require immediate attention. In accordance with Section 143 of the Companies Act 2013, certificate in the request of custody of unused bank receipt forms are usual utilization. Authentication of capital adequacy ratio, including disclosure requirement and other ratio as reported by the notes of accounts. Reports on status of complaints by the banks regarding to the implementation recommendation of Ghosh Committee relating to fraud and malpractices and recommendation of Jelani Committee and internal reports, controls and inspection over reports. The report on instances of adverse credit deposit ratio in the rural areas, by asset liability management, certificate of corporate governance in case of bank listed in stock exchanges in same banks and certification is not be got done by central auditors. Certification or claim of various interest subsidiaries and interest subvented. Concurrent audit. The concurrent audit is the same name such as the audit of verification of transactions and activities of organization concurrently as a transaction activity taking place. It is not a pre-audit. The concept of the audit is to verify the authenticity of the transaction activity within the shortest possible time after that same takes place. It is akin of internal audit, which is concept of recognition under the Companies Act. It is a view of complexity of economic activities now well recognized that there must be a system of someone other than a person involved in operation, verifying the authenticity of the transaction activity on a regular basis, so that it may any deviation from the laid down procedures can be noticed in the shortest possible time and remedial action can be taken. The concept of concurrent audit in the public as well as the private sector banks has gained acceptance in the recent years. And some of the banks in the task has been entrusted to the internal inspection staff who is not engaged in the operational activities. In other banks, the work is allotted outside the professional firms like chartered accountants. The Reserve Bank of India has issued certain guidelines for the conduct of this audit. Scope of concurrent audit. The detailed scope of the concurrent audit should be clearly and uniformly determined by the bank as a whole of the bank central inspection and audit department in consultation with the bank's audit committee of the board of directors. In determining the scope, the importance should be given to checking the high risk transaction having a large financial implication on opposed to the transaction involved lesser amount. In the detailed scope of the concurrent audit may be determined on approval by the ACB. Further, auditing committee of board of directors. Further, the guidelines issued by the RBI covers all the key areas of the activities of the branch, which is under the concurrent audit. Most audit has prepared on the audit manual for a purpose. Broadly stated, the following areas covered by the guidelines. Scope of the concurrent audit is cash, deposit, advances, investments, foreign exchange, housekeeping, and others. Concurrent audit system in commercial banks. It's hardly need to be stressed that the concurrent audit system is to be regarded as a part of banks' early warning systems to ensure timely reduction of irregularities, lapses, which helps in prevention of fraudulent transaction at branch. It is therefore necessary for the bank's management to bestow serious attention to the implication of various aspects of the system, such as selection of branch coverage of banking or business operations, appointment of auditors, appropriate reporting procedures, follow-up rectification process, and utilization of feedback from the system for appropriate quick management decisions. The bank should once in a year review the effectiveness of the systems and take necessary measures to correct the lacunae of implementation problem. Lacunae. The coverage of business and branches. The scope of the work to entrusted to concurrent auditors. The coverage of business branches, etc., is left to be discretion of the head of the internal audit of banks with the due prior approval of the audit committee of board of directors. Banks may, however, ensure that the risk and sensitive areas identified by them as per the specific business models and coverage on the concurrent audit. The detailed scope of concurrent audit may be determined or approved by the ACP, Central Audit Committee Board. The board areas of coverage under the concurrent audit shall be based on the identified risk of the unit and must include random transaction testing on sufficient large sample of such transaction wherever liquid. Types of activities to be covered is cash, investment, deposits, advances, foreign exchange, housekeeping, and others. Cash. Daily cash transaction with a particular reference to any abnormal or high value receipts and payments. Proper accounting of inward and outward cash remittance. Proper accounting of concurrent currency chest transaction prompt reporting to RBI. Expenses incurred by the cash payments involves sizable amount. Investment. Ensure that the respect of the purchase and sale securities of the branch has acted within the delegate power having regard to its head officer's instruction. Ensure that the securities held in the books of accounts are physically held by it. Ensure that branch is complying with the RBI head office guidelines regarding the SGL forms, delivery of scripts, documentation, and accounting. Deposits checks a transaction about the deposits received and repaid. Percentage check of interest paid on the deposit may be made including calculation of interest and large deposits. Check new accounts open, particularly current accounts. Operation in new current and savings account may be verified in the initial period to see whether there are any unusual operation. Advances ensure that loans and advances has been sanctioned properly in accordance with the delegate authority. Ensure the authority securities and documents has been received and properly charged and registered. Ensure that the disbursement supervision and follow up properly, such as a receipt of stock statements, installment, recoveries, renewal, or submittal, etc. Verify there is any misutilization of loans and whether there is an instances indicating diversion of funds. Check whether the letter of credit issued by the branch or within the delegate power and ensure there has been genuine trade transaction. Check the bank guarantees issued whether they have been properly ordered or recorded in the register of the banks and they have been properly renewed in duties. Ensure proper follow-up and overdue bills of exchange whether check verify the classification of advances has been done as per the RBI guidance. Verify whether the claims of DICGC and ECGC submitted in time. Claims of and verify the instance of exceeding legislated power has been promptly reported and controlling head offices of branches and have been confined ratified in the required level. And verify the instance of exceeding delegated powers has been promptly recorded and controlling head office of the branches and have been confirmed ratified. Foreign exchanges. Check the foreign bills negotiated under the letters of credit. Check the FCNR and other non-resident accounts whether debits and credits are permission and other rules. Check whether the inward and outward remittance has been properly accounted for. Examine the extension cancellation of forward contracts from the purchase and sale of foreign exchange. Ensure there are duly authorized and necessary changes has been recovered. Ensure the balance is in escrow account different foreign currencies within the limit of prescribed bank. Ensure there is an overbroad oversold positions maintained in the current different currencies and reasonable. Consider the foreign exchange operations. Ensure adherence in the guidelines issued by the RBI and head office of the bank also dealing with operation. Ensure verification, reconciliation of non-escrow and escrow accounts transaction balances. Housekeeping ensure the maintenance of balances of accounts, ledger registers, including clean cash properly. The recognition of entries outstanding on the inter-branches and inter-bank accounts, suspense accounts, entry deposits, DDR accounts, and draft accounts are properly. Timely adjustment of large value entities being and carried out the percentage of check of calculation of interest, discounts, commission exchange. Check whether the debits in the income accounts has been permitted by the competent authority. Check the transaction of staff accounts. Examine the day books to verify how the differences in the clearing has been adjusted. Detection or prevention of revenue leakage through closely examining incomes and expenditure accounts. Verify checks and returns and being of system returns registers are looking into the reason and returns those instruments and checking the inwards and outwards of DT and MT entities. Other item in case of bank has been entrusted with the government business, ensure the transaction is done in accordance with the instructions issued by the government, RBI, and headquarters. Ensure the branches gives proper compliance with the internal inspection and audit reports. Ensure the customers' complaints are dealt with properly. Verify the statements, returns, or statutory returns submitted to the RBI and HQ.